Today's lesson is 3.2 Properties of Parallel Lines. Just a quick reminder from our last video, when we have a picture like this, we have our two parallel lines, which would be considered line A and line B. I'm going to use my highlighters to help me out. My transversal line would be the line that intersects them both, which would be line H in this case right here. My interior portion of my picture would be this portion in here in the blue. And of course, my exterior would be the two portions outside of our parallel lines, the green part up here and the green part down here. Remember that there are 8 angles, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are created by line A and the transversal H, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8, which are created by line B and the transversal H. Today we're going to talk about how these angles interact with one another. But before we do that, let's go down here and let's talk about the types of angles that we had, like our same side interior, our alternate exterior, our corresponding, our vertical, which we haven't talked about in a while, and our alternate interior. So let's talk about our same side. Our same side interior angles, if we look right here, remember same side would mean they're on the same side of the transversal. So that would be 6, 8, 4, and 2, or on the other side, 1, 3, 5, and 7. But interior says they have to be between the two parallel lines. So that would mean it would have to be let me make it a little bit bigger, angle 4 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 5. Um, and they're the same in both. If you take a look, angle 4 and angle 6, angle 4 and angle 6. So they're really just I'm showing you the difference here between the two, that's all. So let's go ahead and do our same side interior. There we go. It would be the same. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our corresponding ones, our corresponding angles. Now remember, our corresponding angles, we're talking about they're in the same position here and the same position here. So that would be angle 1 and angle 5, angle 2 and angle 6. Watch how they go. Angle 2 and angle 6, angle 4 and angle 8, angle 4 and angle 8, and then lastly angle 3 and angle 7. And it's the same right here, it's just they're positioned a little bit differently. Notice that as I'm telling you this, I'm saying the word angle and I'm putting that symbol. Remember, we've got to make sure that we put that symbol as well. So corresponding, I don't think I'm going to highlight those because, yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher to do. Let's go ahead and do our alternate exterior while we're right here. Remember, alternate exterior means we have to talk about the two exterior angles on both A and B. So there would be our exterior, and they're the same. Remember, they're exactly the same in the two pictures. The only difference is that I've rotated it. That's the only difference. This one's been rotated to that one and vice versa. So alternate exterior would mean I'd start here at angle 1. I flip across the transversal and I slide down to the other exterior. So 1 and 8, angle 1 and angle 8. Notice I'm putting that angle symbol as well. And then I could start at the bottom, angle 7, alternate across and slide on up, angle 2. So 7 and 2 and angle 2. All right, the last one. Let's do the alternate interior since we're already on that same mindset. Remember, now we're just going to stay on the inside between our two lines. So we're talking 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, we've got to alternate. So if we start with 4, we're going to jump across and slide on down to angle 5, 4, and 5. Angle 4 and angle 5. Here's what it would look like over here. Angle 4, jump across, slide on down, angle 5. Likewise, then we could start with angle 6. There we go. If we start with angle 6, remember we've got to jump across and slide on up. Angle 3 would be its alternate interior. This is how it would look over here. Jump, slide, alternate, which is go to the opposite side and slide on up. Angle 3. Vertical angles. Vertical angles, remember, those stay around, those are in the same group of 4. So within the same group of 4, vertical angles, remember, they've got to make an X like this. So angle 1 and angle 4 would be vertical. Angle 2 and angle 3 would be vertical. Same here, those ones. So angle 1 and angle 4, angle 2 and angle 3. Same thing with this other pair down here, 5 and 8, 6 and 7. This is how it has to look, 5 and 8, 6 and 7. 5 and angle 8, and lastly angle 6 and angle 7. Now the only way that I can confuse you is by adding different numbers. Before we go on and we do the two examples that I have, we are going to go back to this foldable and we're going to talk about what the same side interior angles are to one another, what the corresponding are, what the alternate interior and exterior both are. To do that, I'm going to show you this quick website right here. So what I want you to notice is that the angles around lines A and B, I only see the numbers 70 and 110. And I want you to specifically notice where the 70s are and where the 110s are. So notice we've just saw those vertical angles. The 110s are vertical, the 70s are vertical along line PQ and along line RS. As I move it, what I want you to notice are my two alternate interior angles. Remember, those are the ones in between lines PQ and RS. So notice what happens as I move this. Notice that my alternate interiors, they're 70 and they're 110. And as I move it, notice what happens. Notice what happens. Oh, is it going to let me move it? Come on. Oh, it's not letting me move it, you guys. Oh no. I don't know why it's not letting me move it. Let me see. Reset. Let's try a reset. No, it doesn't want to let me do it. Okay, it's going to let me show it. I don't understand. Well, I'm sorry about that. What I wanted to show you was that the same side interior angles, they are supplementary. And if we go back and we look at that graphic, we saw a 70 here and we saw a 110 here. 70 plus 110 equals 180 degrees. We saw a 110 here, we saw a 70 here. We added them together, that's 110 degrees. So they are supplemental. What's going to happen is you are going to see a picture like this. And you're going to have to recognize that this angle and this angle that are marked as 60 degrees and 3x are same side interior angles. You're just going to have to memorize that that's what they look like. Then what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, since they are same side, that makes them supplementary. So I can say 3x plus 60 equals 180. And now I can go ahead and I can solve for x. I would simply subtract my 60 from both sides and bring down my 3x. I subtract, I get 120. I would divide by 3. X equals 40. I could plug it back in. 3 times 40, that angle is 120 degrees. What I would see on the on the corresponding angles is I would have seen that a 70 degree was here and a 70 degree was here, a 110 was here and a 110 was here. If you notice, that means that they are equal. They are congruent because this is how it looked. So notice that my pinks match up, my purples match up, my blues match up, my greens match up. Corresponding angles are congruent. I like to remember it as they both start with the letter C, so that's how I remember it. And then I also like to remember that same side also starts with the same letter as supplementary. So same side supplementary, same side supplementary. I keep saying that in my head, and then the rest are just congruent. What I have to recognize though is that this angle here and this angle here are corresponding. I have to recognize that. So I really have to know what do they look like to know if they are equal or not. I can go ahead and now solve because I know that these two angles are in fact corresponding, which means they simply are the same measure. So they equal each other, and then I can go ahead and solve by subtracting 1, and then, of course, dividing by 2. 31. I could go back and plug it in. 2 times 31 is 62, plus 1 is 63. They equal each other. Just like I said, uh, alternate interior are also congruent because the only one that's supplementary is the one that starts with S, same side. Also, the same side exterior would be supplementary as well. Remember, I have to recognize that this angle here and this angle here are in fact alternate exterior. I have to recognize that from the pattern of what those types of angles look like. When the lines are parallel, then these two are equal. What we saw before was this was 70, and so was this was 110, and so was that. So they are equal. I'm going to go ahead and set them equal to each other and solve. 3x equals 139. I'm simply going to take this and divide both sides by 3. And it comes out to a decimal, but there you go. Okay, I could plug that back in. 46.3 repeating times 3 would give me 139. Same thing for my alternate exterior. They are in fact congruent to one another, which means, of course, that they are equal. I have to recognize that these are alternate exterior angles in these two positions. There's just no way around it. If you look at that last graphic, we had a 70 here and a 70 here. We had a 110 here and a 110 here. So they are, in fact, congruent. So 2x plus 1 equals 101. And then we're just simply going to solve, subtract the 1 from both sides, which gives me 2x equals 100, and divide that by 2, x equals 50. I could plug that back in. 2 times 50 is 100 plus 1, 101. All right, let's take a look at some of the questions that we could see on our assignment that are a little bit more intense, maybe. Let's take a look at finding the values of x and z, x and z. So what I have to do is I have to decide what these angles are to one another. Now, something that I notice is that these are my two parallel lines, A and B. And so this is my transversal. If I were to number them, they would be angle 1, 2, 3, 4. You can always do this, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can always go back and look to see where are these numbered and what would they be. Okay? So something that I notice is that this is the interior and I have no interior angles. Notice none of them are labeled. So I'm not going to be using my same side interior. I'm not going to be using my alternate interior because they're not there. I do have this exterior angle and I do have these two exterior angles. So I'm going to ask myself, which two are alternate exteriors? I'm going to go for the alternate exteriors first. So let's do alternate exterior angles. Which ones would those be? Well, that would be the 73, sorry, and this one right here. I remember from the last one that alternate exterior angles are congruent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 5z minus 82 is equal to 73. Let me make that 2 more of a 2. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to go ahead and add, give me just a sec here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and add the 82 to both sides. Bring down my 5z. 73 plus 82 is 155. I'm going to divide that by 5. 31. There's z. Perfect. Now I just have to find x. Well, if I look at them as exterior angles, right? If I look as exterior angles, x and 73 are on the same side. And if I look at that, if I look back, I know I don't. Let me see, make sure I spell it right. I know we haven't talked about same side exterior, but remember we did talk about them being the same as the same side interior, which means that they are supplementary. So x plus 73 equals 180 degrees. All I have to do to solve this equation is subtract 73 from 180. And I got 107. There we go. All right, you could end up seeing something very complicated like this. Now be very careful. Um, A and B are both parallel to one another. I can see that right here. They are parallel to one another. They are also transversals to H and G. So I could talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. I have 16 different angles. I can talk about these pairs together. I can talk about these pairs together. I can talk about these pairs together and I can talk about those pairs together because they are connected. I cannot talk about these two and these two. I cannot talk about these four and those four. okay? Because they are not connected to one another. These four angles and these four angles have no connection to each other. But these four and those four have this connection. These four and these four have this connection. Once again, these four and these four have no connection. There's no connection there. Likewise, these four and these four have no connection to one another. So let's go ahead and let's talk about X and Z. Now, if I look at X, which is right here, and I look at it along this line, the only other angle I have to compare it to is this one right here. I don't want to do that yet because I have X and this angle contains Z, and so I don't want to go there yet. But if I look at X and this angle right here, 64, they have a connection along line B. So I can talk about these two. So let's go ahead and look at them. If I look at them along their transversal, which this is the only one, right? X and 64. These are my parallel lines. Notice parallel right there. They are on the interior. So they are some kind of interior angle. So I'm going to go to interior angles and I'm going to look at them. I'm going to ask myself, are they on the same side or are they on alternate sides, opposite sides? Well, if I look at it, look at your transversal, they are on the same side. They don't alternate, they don't go across that. So these are same side interior angles, which means that they are supplementary. I'm running out of space. What that means is X plus the 64 equals 180 degrees. To solve this for X, I'm simply going to subtract 64 from 180. That's all I have to do. There we go. 80 minus 64, 116. Now that I know what X is, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Now that I know what X is, I can use that. I'm not going to think of this as X, I'm going to think of this as 116. Now I can say this angle and this angle are what? Well, they're both, once again, interior because here are my parallel lines. So they're both inside. And if I look at them, what do they do to the transversal? Are they on the same side or are they on opposite sides? Well, one is here and one is here. That's opposite to me. So these are alternate interior angles, which means that they are congruent. So to solve for z, I'm going to say 5z minus 64 is equal to x, which is 116. I can go ahead and solve this equation. I'm going to add the 64 to the 116 because it was subtraction. I'm going to bring down my 5z. 116 plus 64 is 180. I'm going to divide that by 5. 36.